I'm about to tell you something that's probably going to offend you. It might rub you the wrong way. But that's okay because you've probably been rubbed the right way for far too long. You've been kept in a state of stupor, in a state of easy comfort, and it's slowly draining your life force. This is the fact that most people are bugmen, right? They are not really individuals. In fact, they are just an individual unit of the collective, right? Imagine a beehive or an ant colony. You have these undifferentiated little worker drone bees who simply exist to further along the collective good. Now, that's great. I'm glad that those people exist. Thank God those people exist, because if they didn't, society would break down. However, a lot of people, myself included, can never be happy fulfilling that role. And that's what this is about. This is about the fact that most people aren't really all there. They're not really thinking for themselves. Their opinions really are just an echo of the collective, right? Their feelings are just a reflection of the mood of the hive. They operate according to consensus. And again, that's great. I'm glad those people exist. But if that's not you, then stick around and I'm going to tell you how to escape the Longhouse. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Nick. I write on Substack and I write books about how to lead an exceptional life. I focus on actual results as well as mindset, mental models, and just actionable advice so that you can achieve an optimal state of personal freedom and power. Because in reality, without power, there is no freedom. Foremost, power over yourself. So let's get into that in this video. This is the 7 ways that you can life max, right? Most people are longhouse maxing. Like I said, they live their life according to consensus. They trade their dreams for normalcy. And in reality, that's their optimal state. They like the comfort. They like the security. They like being a cog in the machine because it takes the spotlight off of them. They have very little responsibility except for themselves, and they just have to get along with the way things are going. Good for them, bad for me. So, let's get into how to escape the Longhouse. Now, there's normally 2 routes that people go. The first route is to just kind of check out. It's to lie flat, right? It's to give up any ambition as a form of rebellion. If you can just refuse to participate, most people think that's good enough. So they kind of wither, right? They degrade in mind and body and spirit. They sacrifice their goals just to spite the collective. Now, this is what a lot of people do in 2026. And the problem is it's not really a form of escape. You're not leaving the Longhouse. Instead, you're just being relegated to a dark, dusty corner of it. You're stuck in your mom's basement, or you're stuck in a shitty apartment. Now, that's not the life that most people really want, but it's the life that most people will accept if it will get them to get out of the grind of the collective. But I imagine you want more than that, and that's why you're watching this video. Now, the second path is known as life maxing. This is the complete optimization of your life, the rejection of the collective in pursuit of personal glory, personal power. This is self-actualization. It's the pursuit of excellence, of vitality. And the only way to do this is to embrace the challenge of it, right? Glory doesn't go to normies, right? Normies don't get to go to Valhalla. So you have to risk ridicule. You have to risk being seen as a threat by the collective. Bugmen don't like it whenever you stand out. They see you trying to excel. They see your ambition as a potential threat to social harmony. And it is. So they have every right to feel that way. You have to not care about that. Now, this is essentially the Pareto principle applied to your entire life. It's asking yourself, what is that small percentage of things you can do that will have the biggest impact, that will have the best results for your life? It's a few core activities, right? It's not complex. It's fairly simple. That does not mean it's easy. It's things like exercising, being goal-oriented, but you have to go beyond that as well, because even normies exercise, right? Most people at Planet Fitness are bugmen. Sorry to burst the bubble for you. But it really is about nailing your physiology, nailing your environment, and really controlling your environment rather than letting your environment control you. So let's get into it. There are actually 7 key aspects of life maxing. Now, the first aspect of life maxing is execution, right? Nobody cares about your intent. Nobody cares about your pure mindset. Nobody cares about your excuses or your goals. They only care what you get done. And it's the same for yourself, right? You shouldn't necessarily care what other people care about, but you should care what you care about. You should care about your own mindset, your own self-image. So execution maxing, it's getting things done. Focus on actually moving the needle, being action oriented, finding leverage, right? You can get leverage one of 2 ways. You can gain skills or you can gain leadership. You can get other people to do things for you. But nonetheless, you need to be focused on actually getting shit done. Putting results on the scoreboard rather than making excuses. Because in reality, the world doesn't care about your excuses. You don't really care about your excuses. Excuses are a cope. It's just a way for you to veer off into that lying flat mindset as opposed to veering off into the life maxed mindset. So that's number 1, execution maxing, getting stuff done. Number 2 is friends maxing, right? You are the sum total of the 5 people you hang out with. If you don't look up to your friends in some way, if they don't inspire you, then why are you hanging out with them? And it's not to say that every person you hang out with has to be perfect, but they should have some qualities that you admire, that you see as valuable, even if they might be a little bit different than yourself. Nonetheless, keep in mind that the people you surround yourself, it's going to determine your life, not just in a vapid kind of nebulous way, but that's how you're going to gain opportunities. That's how you're going to be connected to other people through people. So be very mindful about who you operate with, but also be mindful to build a tight social circle. Find people who are doing cool shit, make yourself of value to them, and then you can leverage that to gain skills yourself, to gain opportunities yourself, and just to generally have a better life. Now, I would say you should try to identify people who are positive, right? Cynics, people who are complaining all the time, these people, even if they might have skills, even if they might have a few connections, they are going to bring you down. So don't hang out with people who are overly negative, who are filled with complaints, who are filled with bitterness, this sort of thing. Find people who, like you, have a growth mindset. Find people who, like you, are positive and ambitious and are looking forward to the future. Find people with can-do attitudes, not excuse attitudes. And this is how you will, gain more energy yourself while also finding ways to contribute to the world. The next one is your contribution. It's purpose maxing. Now, it's having clear intent. And intent isn't the same thing as a desire. It's not an idle want. You want something, you just want it. It's just a signal that you don't have it. Intent is very different. Intent is a willingness to act in order to get what you want. If I want $1 million, okay, that's good for me. Everybody wants $1 million. If I have an intent to reach $1 million, then I am working every single day to get it. Same thing. Like if I have a desire to learn a second or third language, okay, like who doesn't? But if I have an intent to do it, then every single day I am practicing that thing. I'm waking up with that on my to-do list to practice whatever it is, Spanish, Chinese, whatever. Now, you need to structure your life around these goals, because whenever you do have a strong goal, whenever you do have a strong intent, you can't simply do whatever you want. You are sacrificing some activities so that you can partake in others. So really, purpose maxing is about having a goal that you're willing to structure your life around. It's abandoning the passive longing, the wish I coulds, I should, that sort of thing, and replacing it with am, replacing it with doing. No trying, doing. So that's really purpose maxing, is actually having a goal that you are working towards and being clear in what that goal is, right? It needs to be concrete, not vague, not, oh, I wish I could learn a third language, but I'm going to learn fill in the blank. I'm going to learn Catalonian, whatever it is. Now, that was number 3. The next one is risk maxing. Now, just kind of speaking on that notion of learning a third language, risk maxing and tying into that, in order to learn a third language or a second language, you have to be willing to sound stupid. Like, nobody sounds smart while they're learning a second or third language. You have to be willing to look foolish. And that goes into risk maxing, is that growth demands uncertainty. It demands that you do things that you're uncomfortable with. If you're not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, if you're not getting beat up by the things you're doing on occasion, then you're probably not growing that fast. So you need to act despite fear. Everybody is afraid of things. There's nobody who isn't afraid of anything. The difference is some people act in spite of that fear. They feel the fear, they do it anyways, and they grow from it. And again, this comes back to your own self-image, because your subconscious keeps the score. Anytime you feel fear and then run away from whatever you fear, your body knows that, your subconscious knows that, and you build a reputation with yourself as a coward. And that sort of momentum just grows. So, whenever you feel fear, you need to run towards it. You need to do the thing that you're afraid of, and that's what builds courage. And again, all courage is a reputation with yourself. It's the reputation with yourself that says, whenever I am afraid of something, that is a trigger for me to act. That's a sign that I need to do the thing that I'm afraid of. And, if you have two people, one person who's a coward, one person who's constantly gravitating away from fear, away from discomfort, and another person who's gravitating towards it, well, guess who's going to end up on top? Who's going to have more capabilities? Who's going to have more skills? And that brings me to number 5, skills maxing. Now, skills are the reward for patience and persistence, because you never build skills overnight. This isn't the Matrix. You don't just jack into the system and you learn how to do Kung Fu in 20 minutes. No. Skills takes time to build. You have to patiently work at it, often every day or multiple times a week, to practice the thing that you want. It often helps if you have a mentor or a coach, something like that. You can grope in the dark, right? Taking boxing as an example, you can shadow box by yourself or throw punches in the air by yourself, or you can even scrap around in the backyard with your boys. But when you do that, when you don't have a clear vision of where you're going, when you don't have a model of what highly skilled looks like, you're never going to get as far as you could. So I would encourage you, as you're skill maxing, to 1, have a model of what excellence looks like, right? Know which mountain peak you're heading towards. 2, be patient, be persistent, because that's the only way you're going to reach that mountaintop. Now, why is skill maxing important? Well, skills creates capacity. It's the ability to do things that other people can't do. It's the ability to operate under pressure that would cause other people to fold. And this makes you more valuable, not just to society, right? This isn't what this is about, but it makes you more valuable to yourself. You are less dependent on other people. You don't need people to help you as much. You don't rely on society for your own basic sustenance, for your own protection. You can get along by yourself just fine. And again, it's as well as the actual fact of you can defend yourself or you can speak that third language or whatnot. It's the reputation that you build with yourself that you are a competent person. So skills maxing is highly important, because without skills, you can have all the good friends and you can take risks and you can have a purpose, but if you don't have skills to back it up, then everything else kind of collapses, right? Everybody eventually sees through the facade. So you actually need skills to develop a good life. And that's number 5. Now, these last 2 are more on a meta level. Number 6 is presence maxing. See, most people are walking around in a stupor, right? They've become addicted to cheap dopamine hits from that little rectangle that shines into their face. And it really is destroying people's attention spans. It's destroying their ability to connect and uh, interface with the real world. So when you can be present, it's almost like a superpower. Now, how do you do this? Well, you have to train it. You have to avoid distractions, minimize the time whenever you're on your screen, scrolling or getting triggered by rage bait or sublimating your competitive spirit into video games. Build awareness of what's going on around you. Whenever you're out and about, don't look at your phone, look at the world. Appreciate what it is. Take time to, marvel at the colors, to take note of what other people are doing. Just be present to what's going on around you. Because again, most people are not doing this. Most people are permanently distracted, frying their attention spans and losing the ability to socialize. So, whenever you don't do this, whenever you do have an attention span, whenever you can perceive the basic things that are going on around you, and whenever you do have the ability to socialize, this becomes a superpower, right? You can operate in a world on a level that other people can't. So, that is presence maxing. And the last one is frame maxing. Now, what is frame? That's an important question. Frame is just the subjective meaning of an experience, of a phenomenon, of a fact. It's the underlying unspoken truth. How this comes into play is the person with the strongest frame, the person who projects the most certainty about what's going on, is usually the person who wins in an interaction, right? If I go to, I don't know, buy a car, and the salesman has this frame that, oh, the price is the price, and it's actually a really good price, if I'm uncertain, I'll probably just believe them. However, if I have my own solid frame of, well, actually, this car is vastly overpriced and it should be a few $1,000s less, and that's just what it is, then I will probably be able to negotiate that price down. Same thing, like if I live in a building and let's say I'm renting a house and something is fucked up with the house, I go to the landlord and I say, hey, this needs to be fixed, this is not okay. And the landlord has their own frame. Oh, it's normal, it's okay, just deal with it, you fix it yourself. Whoever has the strongest frame in that situation is going to be who comes out on top. And this applies to just about everything. But the reality is, confidence leads to difference. The person who is the most confident usually leads the crowd, right? That's where the notion of con man comes from. A con is just someone who is confident. It's just somebody who can persuade you through their own exhibition of self-belief. Whenever you do have that strong belief, or at least the projection of strong belief, then you can almost bend reality. You can bend people to your will. You can even break them out of the hive for a split second until they're back into that. Because that's what the hive is, right? It's social proof. It's people pinging off of each other, pinging off the beliefs of each other. But if you can, for a moment, override that with your own self-confidence, then you can kind of bend reality. You can get people to gravitate towards you versus the hive. And that's what that is. And not everybody, obviously. Some people are really stuck in the matrix. They love it in there. But some people are a little bit more susceptible to whoever's in front of them. And as long as that person is confident, is presenting themselves in a way that is an expert. So keep in mind, the strongest frame wins in social interactions. Now, what is the result of being life max? Because that's important too. Why are we doing this? Well, whenever you are life maxing, it's almost a protest against the modern world. Like I said, there's two ways to escape the Longhouse. One way is just to hide in the corner on the couch lying flat. The other way is to actually control your own environment. So life maxing is kind of masculinity as a personal protest against the modern world. It's a refusal to be domesticated. It's a refusal to be a cog in somebody else's machine. Like I said, or like other people have said, if you don't have clear goals for your life, then other people do. Other people do have clear goals for your life. You're going to be serving their ends as opposed to yours. So if you want to be self-actualized, if you want to create your own life, you need to do these things. You need to follow these 7 pillars. Now, this will, again, make you stand out. You will be the exception. Some people don't like that, right? You will rub a lot of people the wrong way. That's okay. You're going to have to accept that. But if you want to actually have a life that is your own, instead of a life that is a unit of the collective, then you need to focus on things like competence, power, presence, and intent. And you need to be unapologetic about it, because the minute you start apologizing for your own actions, that's whenever the hive starts to get their hooks into you. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment. I also have an amazing newsletter that you must read. I'm going to drop the link of that in the description. Be sure to subscribe. It's free, and I will see you next video.